My name is Ronald Howard Cohen. I am a writer. I am also an American citizen living in Canada who was a victim of the MKUltra program in the 1960s, which included my being kidnapped outside of Indianapolis, Indiana, and my being taken to a military base in Maryland where I was severely drugged. I was also a victim of setups by the FBI, the CIA, and U.S. Army intelligence during the 1980s, and cover-ups, which included the theft of my life's work, my writings, stored in Brattleboro, Vermont, including my novel Transgression, which told the story of my kidnapping and my drugging. It is critical, if the injuries and damage done to individuals such as myself, and if the injuries and damage done to a nation's trust in its own government ever be mended and restored to their full vigor, that a full investigation of MKUltra and all other mind control programs be instituted and completely and thoroughly looked at. Finally, and at long last, the United States must be big enough to let the chips fall where they may.
As a citizen of Canada, I demand that President Clinton mandate a presidential inquiry of my control verification against the living monstrosity of the foreign national socialist I was subjected to mind control verification during the Cold War era in the 1950s, primarily in Upper State New York. My name is Mary. I was born in Detroit, Michigan in 1948. Throughout my childhood, I was subjected to child abuse in the form of experimentation. As a citizen of the United States, I demand that there be an investigation into this matter, because it needs to stop. It hurt me, and it did terrible damage to my life and the lives of other people in my family.
My name is Claudia Mullen, and as a citizen of the United States of America, I demand that the President of the United States appoint an advisory committee to look into mind control projects that were done by the government during the years of between 1950 until now. I was a victim of mind control from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I was taken to several places. And I've already given testimony in front of the Presidential Advisory Committee on radiation, and have already submitted documentation. And I would urge strongly that they form another committee as soon as possible, focusing just on mind control, especially since it was done to children, innocent children. And we have to find out how it happened and make sure that it never happens again.
My name is Bryce Taylor, and I would like to ask the President if that it's time now that people in America and all over the world become more aware of the many thousands, if not larger numbers of victims of people that have been used in mind control experimentation, and as well as being used within our own government and other governments as operatives that have been under mind control, used as a slave labor force without their own knowledge or awareness. My name is Bryce Taylor, and I personally was used for many years until I had an accident and began recovering memories of the ways that I was used within our government and abroad. I would like to call for an investigation. I think it's time that the people's rights stop being violated. Our very constitutional rights in this country. For many people that have been abused and used and experimented on has gone unchecked, and it's time for this population of people to be heard and for the truth to emerge. The truth is going to set us all free, and it's time that happens now. I have a book that I've written in regard to this, and I've interviewed other survivors all over the country who have had similar experiences as I have, and so I'd like to call for an investigation of this whole process and let the truth come out. Thank you.
My name is Kathy Lewis, and I'm from London, Ontario. For 15 years, I was a high school teacher, so I began to remember what had happened, and I too, like many other people, are now on disability, and have had to give up that career. I was raised in a small town in Fort Erie, Ontario, and my family was involved in the medical community and the Masonic community and in the military, and same things that happened to me that I'm sure that you've heard have happened to many other people. I barely survived the amount of pain from headaches to my temples. And I would like an explanation of why this happened, and I want government to stop what's happening, still happening, and to recognize the terrible damage that's done to us, and that you have changed our lives in so many terrible ways, and I want to end, and I want an explanation.
I respectfully demand, as a citizen of the United States of America, that President Clinton reopen the inquiry into mind control and radiation experiments. I was born in 1954 in Kentucky. It's used in radiation and mind control experimentation in the 1960s.
My name is Susan Benson, and I was born in 1955. I'm a citizen of the United States of America. As a citizen and as a child, I was subjected to mind control experimentation that is continuing today. And as a citizen of the United States, I demand that a presidential inquiry and a commission is set up to expose and uncover this past and current day experimentation. My experiences with this occurred in the Detroit, Michigan area from 1959 to approximately 1969. And this needs to stop. Thank you.
My name is Chretien. I was born and raised in the Saginaw Bay area of Michigan. I was in the military for 7 years, 1974 to 1981. I was there overseas, and I would like to see the President conduct hearings on mind control experiments in the United States. I'm a citizen of the United States, and I made this request because of what happened to me, what I experienced, and what I witnessed, and what I know to be true. And as a citizen of the United States, I was demanding this request. That's enough use for it, not for it.
My name is Kathleen Sullivan. I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm a mind control survivor, governmental, CIA, NASA, several other organizations. There's also a lot of mob connections in my experience. I was used starting in Reading, Pennsylvania, where I was born in 1955 at Reading Hospital. I have been used for about 30 straight years by the government and their mob affiliates. I am now integrated and I'm finally free, but there's a lot of other survivors out there who are still struggling. Some of them are dying with suicide programming. There are children who are still being abused and used as human slaves, especially for pedophiles. And I beg now please to help us get this fought before Congress and to see that these human slavery atrocities are stopped. Thank you.